Welcome to Black and Blue Kickoff Live, the digital edition, that is. You know the drill. We're talking all Panthers football. My name is Josh Sims. Thanks for joining me this evening as we get you set for Carolina's season finale against the New Orleans Saints. As always, folks, we want you to take out your phones and follow along. Use the hashtag BBKL. Let us know how much you love the show, and later on we're going to give you a chance to win some merch, so make sure you follow along with the stream and also on social media. All right, we got some breaking news to get to off the top. The Panthers might be forced to start their third-string running back in Sunday's finale, and that's because running back Christian McCaffrey is not going to play on Sunday. He's got that quad injury, so he only played in 3 of the 13 games this season. However, running back Mike Davis, who backed him up and has been an absolute force for the team, well, he's unlikely to play now against the Saints as he tweaked his ankle against Washington last week. Now the Panthers will turn to their third-string back, Trent Cannon, and Rodney Smith to try and make some things happen in that backfield against the Saints on Sunday. All right, so you may need to start using that Bitcoin if you want to see the Panthers play at home on Sunday. Now the Panthers announced on Monday that for their final game against New Orleans, the capacity at Bank of America Stadium is going to be reduced from just over 5,500 fans to now down to 1,500 fans. The decision was made after the Panthers consulted with public health officials. The attendance in the stadium is limited to family and friends of both the Panthers and the Saints and players and staff. So the Cats are closing out this season. That's been an absolute roller coaster for this team on Sunday against the Saints, like I mentioned. And they'll be marching into a team that has Alvin Kamara. Remember what this guy did on Christmas? 6 touchdowns in that performance. Killed me in fantasy because I was still in it. Probably would have won with him. Either way, the 11-4 Saints still have something to play for because they're trying to get that top seed in the NFC. The Panthers, on the other hand, well, we know they're not in the postseason, so they're just trying to close out this season on a high note. And plenty of guys are fighting for either a roster spot or trying to put some good film on tape, and the stakes are still high in a way for the Panthers as they head into this finale on Sunday.
It's just one of those deals where, you know, we have one more game. It's the most important game because it's the next game. And, you know, it'll be, you know, the last game, you know, that this 2020, 2021 team will play together. So, you know, we want to make sure that we just, you know, give it our all and, you know, try to put our best football forward.
Because every game, regardless of how you put it, you know, is always something to play for. It's always something to fight for. Whether that's self-improvement, team improvement, or anything, pride, whatever, you know. So I just go out there and I just play because it's another opportunity to go out there and play. You know, I really don't try like to look at, you know, what are we playing for or what are they playing for. I know for a fact that there's a game on Sunday, and I know for a fact that regardless that we have to show up and we have to play. So that's the only thing I need to know to get going.
All right, now it's time to bring in our guest. Welcome back into the show from Fox 7 News, WSPA in Spartanburg, Pete Yannity, my friend. How you doing? How was the holiday season treating you?
Not too bad, not too bad. As you can understand, down this way, a team that wears orange and purple is kind of been the talking point. But with all due respect, the Panthers still on the minds of folks and anxious to see what they roll out there Sunday. As you were saying off the top, though, I mean, boy, it has never a team looked like Week 17 than this one. It looks like going into this game and against a Saints team that wants to, you know, get its good reps for the playoffs. I am anxious, though, to see what this thing looks like come Sunday.
Yeah, I know a lot of folks have their eyes on that Clemson game tomorrow, that rematch with Ohio State, but we're talking Panthers, like you said, so let's talk running game. It looks like both Christian McCaffrey and Mike Davis are going to be out for this game, so you got guys in the mix like Trent Cannon and Rodney Smith and even Curtis Samuel, who was an absolute beast last week in the backfield. So what do you expect from the Panthers running game this weekend?
Well, you know, to tie into the whole Clemson-Ohio State thing, I was impressed a few years ago when Curtis Samuel was getting ready to play Clemson. He didn't have a great game, nor did Ohio State. That was back in the 2016 season. But I have always liked Curtis Samuel as a running back more than a receiver. I would try to give him the ball, hand him the ball off 20 times this week, or at least try to get him 20 to 25 touches, see what he can do. If ever there was an opportunity, this is that opportunity. You know, guys are down on the depth chart in the NFL after the top 2 slots for a reason. Maybe there's something there in Cannon worth seeing, but I think this is the opportunity to get as much as you can out of the guy who wears number 10, who's a fleet of foot guy. He's been one of those players that's a real mystery guy, if you know what I mean. And I'd say now more than ever, you've got 60 minutes on Sunday, or however many, 50 to 60 offensive snaps to see what he can do as a featured back, at least for this 1 week.
And I like that because it's so big, not just for the team looking forward, but for him as well, because he's a free agent after this year. He's trying to put good film on tape, but the Panthers also want to see, if we have to lean on you, like you mentioned, as a feature back, can you do that? Have we figured out how we can use you going forward? So that's certainly one of the things we're going to keep our eye on. But sticking in the backfield, we turn to the other side of the field and look at the Saints with Kamara and Murray. I mean, two beasts, and I don't think Kamara's going to go for 6 touchdowns again, or maybe I'm just hoping he doesn't do it again, especially against this Carolina Panthers defense. But how do they slow down that rushing attack that is so potent for this Saints team?
And that's a great question. And, with the share of guys who've been banged up on defense, Kamara, the thing about Kamara that makes him so deadly is, just like I think the Panthers could have in Samuel, is he going to take a handoff, or are they going to dump the ball to him and let him try to create something in space? And that, to me, I mean, the New Orleans Saints are getting ready to make a run toward a Super Bowl. They could well get there, and maybe they're the team that can beat Kansas City or Buffalo. And I think if you could have that kind of dynamic part of the game, because there's some great running backs in the NFL. We all know it's a position that's been de-emphasized, but Alvin Kamara is the kind of back who is very much in this age, and the fact that he is as deadly on a swing pass, which a lot of teams now look at as their part of their running game, as he is on a handoff. And again, you don't have that with, even though Mike Davis can catch the ball, he's not that guy that you're afraid is going to, if you're the defense, going to run away from everybody. McCaffrey is that for the Panthers when healthy, but Alvin Kamara has become as good as McCaffrey, I think, in that realm. So it's really going to be incumbent on the guys on the boundary as much as anything, because just as well as they'll hand it off to him, Drew Brees will dump it off to him as well.
The answer to this next question depends kind of on who you are. Are you a player or a coach, or are you a fan or a media member? Because the question is, do you beat the Saints and try and end on a high note, or do you lose this game because it gives you better draft position? Now, I know the players don't think that way, but what are your thoughts on what the Panthers should do on this Sunday? Play to win, or kind of go out there and try and go ho-hum and then get a better draft pick if you lose?
Yeah, I think the win on Sunday pushed them back far enough down the charts that it's not going to matter that much if they win, in terms of where they'll be in the draft if they win this Sunday. So they get to 6 wins with a win this Sunday instead of 5. I still think they're going to be picking in that 9 to 13 range, probably either way. So you're gonna get quality there. You're going to get what you need there, I think, for this team, which, was obviously defense oriented in the draft last year. Do they go back down that road again this year? That's the big question. But I think, for pride, and this is an organization that we've seen, even in their losses this year, 8 losses by 7 points, or 7 losses by 8 points or less, that they're really close. So I think it's important for teams like that they can close the season with a couple of wins and go 6-10. First-year coaching staff. I think in this case, a win could really be helpful getting ready. Whereas if you're a Jacksonville or the Jets, it's not going to matter if you win or lose on Sunday. You're going to pick in the top 2 slots, and who cares? But I think for the Panthers team, it could be a building block.
Yeah, and I know so many people out there get so mad on social media saying, why would this team try and win? You're ruining your draft position. The important thing to realize is, like you mentioned, it's a new coaching staff. They're going to be around for a while, so the important thing for them is to show their bosses that there's improvement. But also, you got to think of the guys. Not all of them are going to necessarily be on the Panthers next season. The most important thing for them is themselves, the name on the back of their jersey. They got to make sure they put good film on tape so they either stay with the Panthers or get signed by someone else. So that is so crucial for those guys that you can't always think like, hey, Panthers organization, throw this game for better draft position. But there are a number of guys that have something to prove in this final game. A guy like Teddy Bridgewater, Curtis Samuel, or anyone else. Who do you think has the most to prove from this roster going forward this weekend?
I really think it's, as you noted earlier, in the walk here for Samuel. And, for example, on Sunday, the big metric now for guys who are running backs, and to a certain extent receivers, more so for guys who are running backs, though, is the yards you get after first contact. And I think if I'm Samuel, I'm trying to show, no matter how they get me the ball, I'm going to stay on my feet in that first contact. That could, who knows what difference that could be in the kind of contract that he gets. And just one more quick thought. You mentioned about the coaching staff and how, first-year staff and that kind of thing. But I think that one of the big stories we'll be following for the next week and a half or so, or next few weeks, is you got to try to hang on to Joe Brady. I think he's a positive impact. And if I'm sitting in Detroit and I've got a veteran quarterback who's still got something left in the tank, or I'm even in Atlanta and I've got head coaching openings, to me, a guy like Joe Brady is the kind of guy that organizations like that, and who knows how many others, are going to look at. I think that's going to be a huge storyline moving into the month of January for this Panthers team, hanging on to him.
That is so critical right there. We're going to steal that as one of the topics for our show, because you just brought up a great point about Joe Brady. We talked about him so much at the beginning of this season and in the middle when they were doing well, but now that they faltered a little bit, but he's still done a lot of great things with this team. He's going to be a hot name for sure. So we'll wrap up with this. What is your prediction for this weekend's game? What happens? Panthers or Saints win?
I think the Saints are going to win, because I think they're going to want to have the short-term positive momentum that a win can give them, and good play going into the playoffs with the way things are structured this year as opposed to in past years. But I think the Saints will probably win. And, the Panthers, other than one game this year, have never really been out of it deep into the second half. I think it'll probably be like a 28-17. 28-20 kind of game, but I think the Saints are going to win. Plus, you don't have McCaffrey, but you don't have Davis, and some other guys still are a question mark. Left tackle could be an issue on Sunday, so I think the Saints probably end up winning this game.
All right, appreciate it. And who wins tomorrow, Clemson or Ohio State?
Friday. But I'll be honest with you, my friend, my days are all confused too. So if you told me the game was tonight,
that up too.
Yeah, I'd believe you if you told me the game was tonight. I think Clemson will win. They had a very big news note today in that their offensive coordinator, Tony Elliott, has been put in the COVID-19 protocol, is in quarantine. He did not make the trip, is not available for the game. So they're very structured. They kind of have an offensive coordinator behind center who wears number 16, but that was a breaking news story this afternoon down here. So a guy named Brandon Streeter, their quarterbacks coach, will replace Elliott in the booth on Friday night. Who knows what factor that has in that game? But I think Clemson will still be able to handle Ohio State for what would be a fifth time in as many meetings in the series, and a fourth time since they during the past decade. They've met since 2013. This will be the fourth meeting in a postseason game.
All right. Always love your insight. Appreciate your time, Pete, and Happy New Year, by the way.
All right, my friend. Happy New Year to you.
Take care. All right, this week's giveaway question: will Teddy Bridgewater be the starting quarterback for your Carolina Panthers next season? Just tweet your answer using the hashtag BBKL for a chance to win some free and awesome merch. Now, this story might be a little surprising to many Panthers fans. Free agent quarterback Dwayne Haskins unlikely to sign with the team by the end of this season, but he has been receiving interest from several teams. One of those teams is your Carolina Panthers. Yes, that is a report that is out there. Blows my mind. Maybe they were impressed with the way he just kept throwing completions to the Panthers secondary on Sunday. I don't know what they saw, but that says a lot if the Panthers aren't all the way sold on Teddy Bridgewater, that they would actually consider Haskins. Either way, we'll discuss that in length, I'm sure, this weekend on BBKL. But hey, it's 2020. Anything could happen. So tweet us about that too. Panthers, should they take Dwayne Haskins? I don't know. I don't think so, but hey, let us know. Voice your opinions on Twitter. All right, what better way to finish this thing out than with, of course, our big show this Sunday, Black and Blue Kickoff Live, 10 a.m. We'll be live outside of Bank of America Stadium. We got the whole gang together one final time. Will Kunkel, Carla Gebhardt, Al Wallace, Kevin Connolly, special guest who should have been Defensive Rookie of the Year, but I think Chase Young maybe sealed that this weekend. Either way, we're chatting with Jeremy Chin this week, so check your local Next Star listings for more info on that. And while you're still watching, make sure you hit the like button on Facebook, that is, and if you're on Twitter, use the hashtag BBKL for all the free giveaways, and we will see you on Sunday on your local Next Star station as the Panthers wrap up their season against the New Orleans Saints. Until then, have a happy holiday, Happy New Year, and all that other good stuff. Take it easy and have a great night, everyone.